Hello, dear friends. I got a video request. One friend wrote on my video comments and said, "Can you do a video on how to speak Chinese?" And as a native speaker, so this question, I didn't really get the question. How to speak any language? You just open up your mouth and speak. I was guessing the question is more about how to learn Chinese and some particular rules of Chinese. And for any language, when you were born with that language and you heard about this language all the time, it is not difficulty. Some languages are very difficult to pronounce. It's not because it's difficult to pronounce. It's because we do not hear them that often. The people who speak that language can speak it. So there is nothing more difficult than the language you speak. Once you speak enough, once you were born with it and you speak it, then you can get it. And a lot of language need to be learned at very young age. When you learn a language in a young age, you are not learning, you are living with that language. And it's one of your survival kit. And you hear the sound very often, all the time. And you develop that, and you can still start to imitate and become correct with it. It's not hard. I still remember when my nephews, or maybe even myself, there are some Chinese words I cannot pronounce. One of my nephew, he could not pronounce 舅舅, and he always pronounced 大多多, 大多多. And another time, he cannot pronounce 哥哥 and 多多, 多多. So when we were young, even we try to imitate, our tongue, our lung has not yet developed enough to pronounce that. We just cannot reach to that accuracy. When you get old with your own language, you start to build up a certain sound. It's for me, there is no way for me to pronounce V sound. Because in Chinese pinyin, it does not exist. And I always have trouble to pronounce. Something is sinking to the bottom of the sink. I am thinking of something with my thinking ability. I cannot distinguish the sound thin and thin. Still, I just cannot. Because I was not born with it. And through imitating, we start to learn it, but it's very difficult, very hard to learn. And some of the grammar thing, it's very hard for me also. This is why my English sucks. Because there is not such a thing as tense. Today, yesterday, I did something, I will do something, I am doing something, I do something. In Chinese, it's all the same word. And in Chinese, he, she, it all pronounced the same sound. It's written differently. And if I say I, and eyes means we. You and use means 你们. We have a particular word instead of the plural form. There are a lot of rules difference, make it difficult. But those rules you can learn. I am not talking about all those details. It will be, if I need to, if you want to hear, I will do in another video. But mostly I want to do this video to make you understand from my perspective, from my heart, what is the way of learning a language. First, you need to have a reason to learn this language, no matter it's for knowing a new friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, or getting a new job. You need to be assigned outside, or get a good score in your test. There is a reason for it, and this reason exists because of that reason, and it will disappear once this reason disappears. Make sure you understand why you want to learn this language. If your goal is only a very short term, a particular goal, I get a good test score in this test, then it's very reachable. But if you want to make your learning more interesting, you have to make it sustainable. Learning a language is a very high failure rate activity. Very high percentage will fail. Only a few lucky ones. They are lucky because they keep working on it, can succeed. How many minutes? 6 minutes. And you need to make sure that people here, I lost my mind. You need to make sure, you need to make sure that your reason can get you through the difficulties that you are going to face. Your reason is valid enough to get you overcome all the difficulties before reaching your goal, before this reason disappear. Now the second thing is about your goal, and make sure your goal is reachable. Chinese has 60,000 characters. You cannot write all of them. I cannot. A lot of people cannot. And it's not a reasonable goal. And if your goal is having a good test score, it might be easy to attain because there is a limited textbook, there is a limited range, domain. Let's use the math word. A domain of testing variables, and you can get your score within a certain range. But if your goal is to speak Chinese and speak fluently with other people, that might be a very, very hard goal, and you will have a different method to reach that goal. Think about your goal before you take action. Now here, we talk about method. Anything, any language, learning anything, you need to hard work. You need hard work. You need good method. You need to use yourself as much as possible. Use your resources as much as possible. Our own resources. Excuse me. Okay, let's talk about our own resources. Our own resources, including our brain, our action, our movements, many, our sounds that connected with the language. So use them as much as possible. There are books telling you that you can learn a language in two weeks, and there are video propaganda. You can learn a language in 2 weeks, in 3 days, in something. Don't believe it. It is not true. It cannot be true. It is not scientific. learning any language, it needs time, it needs activity. There are these videos, oh, I was thinking learning language is so hard. When I was young, learning language is so hard. And now I'm picking up this software, I'm picking up this, and I can learn in 3 weeks. Don't believe it. It's not true. You need to put a lot of effort into it. You need to hear the sound and try to get yourself as much as possible to the sound. Chinese songs, listen to the Chinese songs, and listen to Chinese radio, podcast, Chinese video, download video, get YouTube Red, get whatever method, get your podcast and play it and burn it into CD, or put an aux line in your car and listen to it all the time. I listen to some Coursera course about humanity, about Einstein, relativity. Anyway, use every small tidbits of your time, because language does not always need you to have a focused time, concentrate on learning something. You can use all these small times and gather together. You can get a quite good, significant result. So make your car with all the sounds and your lesson tape, repetitively listen. Because, and also do not dream that you can learn it by just listening. It's far from enough. And your brain, after some time, you get tired. And you hear I remember when I first learned French, I repeat all these French tapes, the still cassette tapes, when I sleep and I go to train and all the time, but still I do not get it, because your brain become tired of it and become become tired. It has no new stimulus. And first, the goal is to get yourself comfortable with the sound, with a particular foreign sound, with a particular sound. You always listen, and silently, sillily, and repeat those sounds. If you are in a train, other people looking at you, don't care about them. They have nothing to do with your life. They have nothing to do with your language learning. Only one person has something to do with your language learning. It's yourself. You want to learn, and do not be afraid of losing your face and repeat 你好你好你好你好你好你好你好你好你好. For example, if I say I teach 你好, I teach my class, okay, 10 times, let's go. 你好你好你好你好你好你好你好你好你好你好你好. And those sounds, some simple sounds, it's ironed into your brain and grained into your blood, into your system. Then it starts to get reflection. If I just say 你好, or I say some 你好, you hear it all the time. You may not 我累了. You will not get it. 我累了. 我累了. You do not get it. You have to meet the same word at a different situation. 我累了 means I'm tired. Another day when you are exhausted, or when you see a movie, there was a movie, a particular scene that guy was falling down and so tired, and he said 我累了. It starts to get a different stimulus and get into your system. So repetitively speaking, and not be afraid of losing your face. And once you have to repeat some particular sentence. At the beginning stage of learning any language, you cannot have a communication, you cannot have a dialogue, but you can express yourself. You can make a speech, but you may not be able to answer other people's questions, because speaking is reciting something from yourself, from what you have learned. But really communicate with other people and dialogue with other people is much more difficult, because you need to, within a certain time range, to hear some people and reflect and let all these foreign words bounce and become something that you can process and access. It takes much more complicated skill, effort to do. But first, write down something that is that is true, that you can speak out all the time. 你好，我叫杨海英，我是中国人，我出生在北京，我15岁了，我上3年级。Something like self-introduction, and repeat it, say it all the time, and make different scenario of this. Another thing is about your school. 你好，我的学校在加州，我们的学校有500个人，我们学校有8个年级，每个年级有40个学生。Something like it. Make your own introduction. Or something you like. 我喜欢滑雪，我喜欢冬天的时候去滑雪，因为冬天天很冷，我可以滑得很快。天冷的时候，你运动让你热，很舒服。Make something. And also, you can talk about the food you like. 我喜欢米饭，因为吃米饭的时候，你一边吃米饭一边吃菜，让你觉得菜更香。So you prepare something, always repeating, and so that you can start a dialogue and make people feel you are impressive. Well, the drawback of this is that people will think you can speak very well and start to asking you question, and you cannot answer, but don't care about it. Okay, just keep on. And so you need to speak a lot, always repeat a lot, make your own pitch talk. Prepare yourself several ways of talking and introducing yourself, and write down what you have heard. Use all parts of your brain. Not only look at the Chinese character, look at things, listen to things, speak things, and write down. And I remember when I was young, I had flashcards. I made those flashcards. Let's see. For example, I have a piece of paper. I fold it and then cut it. At that time we were poor, and we do not have cards for sale. So I cut it to small one side Chinese, one side English, and whenever I have time, I flip through it. It is very effective for me. And a certain age, at certain time when I learn French, I put post-it onto all the furnitures in my home. For example, this is a 话筒 microphone in Chinese or in English or in French. And the wall, I put a sticker, and the poster, I put a sticker. Anything, I put a sticker. So every time when I see it, I remember it. Make sure that you use as much as resources so that you can be more engaged into it. And what else do I want to say? And not be disappointed with not succeeding, because you are not alone. Language is a hard thing to learn, and a lot of people fail. So if you fail, you are just one of the ordinary one. If you succeed, you may be one of the minority. Minority, lucky one. But understand it. Understand it is hard, and do not be discouraged by the hurdles, the difficulties you have met. on your way of learning. Do not give up. Do not give yourself too high a goal. When you give yourself too high a goal, you put too much pressure on yourself. You put too much pressure, your brain does not function well. We learn the best when we are relaxed, when we are happy, when we are motivated, and when we are relaxed, at ease. When you put all these pressures, when you put all these things in your brain, your brain will not function that well. Your brain is not smart. One thing I will say, when you fell in love, you are the dumbest, because your brain is too much. You have too much pressure. You fear that you lose your love interest. You fear that you will be silly, you make mistake, so that you cannot talk, and you are just so silly. And if you are not silly, you are not in love. Right? Yes. Okay. Back to language. So, do not get yourself in as if you are fell in love with the language. How can you fall in love with a language, right? Can you marry your language? And can you kiss your language all the time? Can you sleep with your language? No. Anyway, so do not get yourself too much into it. Do not get it. Do not let it drunk you. And keep yourself relaxed, and have a good relationship with it. You make mistake, you fix your mistake, and learn as much as possible, get as much as possible resources, and listen to it all the time, speak as much as possible, go to restaurant to talk, and make some comments on on the internet, and people are usually friendly. If you say, if you're asking for help, people would like to help you. And because asking help is a big favor to the people who you are asking for. And because the person's knowledge can be used, can be recognized. It's such a beautiful thing. And never give up.
你忙吗？
我正在做 video。
你上出去吃饭吗？
对，我想还有1分钟。Okay. So never give up and keep on doing, and you will be there. And learn with a question, learn with a request. I remember when I was in in Brazil. I have talked about this story many times, and I went to the teacher. I had a private tutoring. I lived in Brazil for 6 months, and fala português. So the teacher gave me a book and say this and that. I repeat. And when I go back home, each time I write dialogue. I wrote my diary in Brazilian, in Portuguese. And I wrote the story, and the next time I tell him the story with my broken French, English, and Portuguese. And then he can understand and he can correct it. You have to be involved. You have to take ownership. If you learn, you cannot learn anything. If you want to, if you ask, if you teach, you can learn. If you have a question, and use teacher not as a teacher, but as a consultant, a corrector, or a person who guide you, you will get a much better result. I need to go out to have dinner and keep learning. 学中文也难，也不难。不要害怕，一直努力，一点一点一点一点， 一滴一滴一滴一滴一滴一滴一滴一滴，很多滴水就是很多水，很多瓶水就是一大盆水，很多盆水就是一大缸水，很多缸水就变成了河。From small dripping drops makes into a bottle. From small bottles make into a basin. From many basins, it make into a big tank. Many tanks fills the river, and then just slowly you will get there. I hope this review is not a waste of your time. I'm sorry if this is not good. 祝你好运，再见，谢谢你。学中文就像长头发，会有一段时间你觉得，哎呀，永远也长不长，太难了，老是那么麻烦。但是你过了那一段，就会好了。你看，现在我的头发长了，没有到最长最长没关系，慢慢会长的。而且要那么长有什么用？够了，知足常